This is awesome.
Oh, Clark, hey. Good to see you among the living, man. Check it out. It's the latest talent mix.
Thanks, Pete.
Good to see you all among the living. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talent Mix. It is the Smallville recap podcast that is here. You know, the best Smallville recap podcast is the Smallville recap podcast that you're listening to. And that's, for the moment, is us right now. I'm Brian, here as always with my pal Zach. Zach, I have a long-winded hypothetical for you.
Yes.
Zach, you're on a desert island.
Oh, no.
Would you rather be trapped on this desert island alone with currently no prospects of being discovered? No tools will be given to you. Or you can have all of the supplies already ready to make a raft and have someone with you. However, this person literally only wants to talk about the Zack Snyder film, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. While you're building a raft, you're like, hey, can you hand me that? And it's like, man, and he loves it. He loves it. It is a very positive take on the movie. It's like, man, I just think it's really underrated as you're like tying together the raft.
Oh, so he's a fan.
Huge fan.
Now, let me ask you, does he get toxic? Like, if I have negative things to say about the movie, does he get really toxic to me?
He starts screeching and then having a temper tantrum in the water on the beach.
So I have to pretend I like this movie.
Yeah, and it's like, will any... And he does like tell you, like, if you say anything bad about the movie, I will sink this raft. I will sink this raft. I will sink this raft.
Okay, tell me more about the island. Like, is there food? Is there a water source? Like, can I survive on the island?
I think this is straight up the island from Gilligan's Island. So you can, in fact, also like build a robot out of coconuts.
Okay, well then that sounds like I might just stay there regardless. It just sounds like a vacay.
There you go.
Why were they trying to get off that island? It looked like it would have.
No, it sounds better. There's no cell service, and that can only be a plus, I think.
I thought you were going to ask, like, who from Smallville would I want to be stranded on an island with? And I was going to say, obviously, Lex, because then you get another guy. You get that guy with dreadlocks, the white guy with dreadlocks.
Oh, right. Lex is 2 for 1, but at what cost? Hi, if you're new to the show, usually what we do is we bullshit about pop culture and what we've been watching for a little bit, and then we get into the recap of the show. This week we watched Krypto, the 14th episode of the 4th season of Smallville. That said, before we get into any of that, Zach, there's some interesting, I think, news from the Harry Potter world. I'm wondering if you've heard of this.
Keep that in. That's good. That's good.
I'm going to.
I wonder if you're referring to what I heard, which is the TV news.
I am talking about the TV news for Harry Potter. Real fast before we get too into it, J.K. Rowling has said some really shitty things and has some shitty beliefs in regards to trans people. If you're just like, hey, J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter can go fucking kick rocks, I completely support you. Go ahead and skip ahead. So Warner Brothers has a problem, right? They have the film rights to probably the most read 4,000 pages outside of the fucking Bible, right? And they tried to make these prequel movies. They're terrible.
I haven't seen them, but they're making less and less money, it seems like. So
it's the first one was bad, but like the normal middling kind of bad. Like I even like at the time was kind of like it was fine. The second one is maybe one of the worst times I've ever had in a theater. Like that level bad. Like I kind of want, if Emily wanted to go, I would go, you know? And then the third one I haven't seen. And that one's done dismal.
You didn't watch the third one after that great experience with the second one?
Yeah.
You didn't want to come back for more?
No, determined I was good. But obviously, if you're a guy in a suit at a Warner Brothers fucking room, of course you're trying to figure out what to do with this property, because that's all there. We can't do original things. We have to just hammer home RIPs,
Right.
until no one wants to see them anymore. So apparently the move that they came up with, and of an algorithm, like if they just, what do we do with fucking Harry Potter into Chat GPT, this is what it would of course print out. But it seems like they're going back to the well, taking each of the books, making that a season of a television, doing a 7-season Harry Potter re-adaptation for television. And boy howdy, I think this is a bad idea for a lot of reasons. But what are your like gut thoughts?
Well, I'm wondering, because I read something about they have J.K. Rowling's approval to do this show. So I'm wondering if she has say, like a contractual say in what they do, because if she didn't, I could see them doing like, well, we'll just do random things in that world.
Right.
But
I believe she's signing on as a producer. At least they're working with her to produce.
But I know she was involved with those prequel movies. She helped write them.
I think she wrote them, yeah.
Right. So I don't think I wonder if they just can't go off and say, hey, we're going to do whatever the fuck we want in Harry Potter universe. I wonder if they just they need her blessing officially. I don't know if it's just my thought.
Yeah. I have so many, like, I think this is so, and first off, this may not happen, right? The way these things work is they kind of like say, my money is on this doesn't happen, period. But man, I think it's so funny how on paper, it's like, of course, this is what they're doing, but I don't even think on a business decision, this is the right way to go.
I agree. I like on both points, like, when I was first reading the books and the first couple movies had come out, I remember thinking, oh, this should just be like each book could be a TV show, would be perfect. So I can understand why they would go to that, especially if they're not allowed to explore the universe on their own.
And especially like in a post Game of Thrones world where everyone is still like, where the fuck is our Game of Thrones?
Right, exactly. And I know there's that sequel play. That's the only other thing, right? That
right
in the universe. But I just feel like taking something that up till now has been a big screen experience and putting it on the small screen is a mistake. And I think it was a mistake with Star Wars. Yeah, even though it seems successful.
Everybody loves the fucking Mandalorian.
Right.
I
think it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake.
I'm thinking even like very granularly of like, okay, these are stories everybody knows, right? Everyone has read the books. Everyone has seen these fucking movies. What's your water cooler moment for a fucking Harry Potter show? Game of Thrones, don't get me wrong, was a popular series among fantasy readers, which is such a small... Most Game of Thrones fans came to Game of Thrones through the HBO show, you know? So you don't have your water cooler moments. Second off, the movies kind of did them, right? It's they're pretty straight down the line. Like the thing you liked from the book, we put that in the main point was we just filmed the fucking book. All of the quote unquote changes are very superficial, you know, like a character that doesn't really play in maybe gets excised, a couple things get combined, scenes streamlined, but no major radical changes.
No.
So and I think it's the kind of property where no one's looking for like a spin on it. You can't do anything with it that would be new or exciting.
Not unless, you know, J.K. Rowling suddenly wants to do radical shit with her work.
Right.
But I think, there's also the problem of, you know, on the one end, the movies, which I think were pretty decent and were pretty close.
Did their job. I would say their job. I don't think they're very good.
They were a streamlined version of the very streamlined version of the book stories. But I think a TV show would be the opposite. Would be a bloated, like we're putting in filler, except for maybe like Order of the Phoenix, which is like fucking 4,000 pages long. But but what are you gonna do with Sorcerer's Stone? Is like 200 pages.
Right.
You can make a whole season out of that story, or like, are we gonna be with the Dursleys for 2 episodes? Fucking
God, the way these things fucking work now, probably because they just make big movies now that they then cut down.
They'll just be. We'll be until mid-season. We won't even be at Hogwarts.
Yeah, right. And what do you even do visually? Like, you have to change things up, and like, but what other take is there on the visual look of Harry Potter?
I mean, they pretty much nailed that aspect of it. Like,
which also, I imagine the required new visual look would be making the very expensive Universal theme park sweat.
Right. Yeah, wait a second.
I bet they love that.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I don't know what you do there, because like the music, also the music is iconic.
Junkie XL should come in.
give like the least memorable nothing.
Yes.
Like, no offense to that person. I'm sure they've done great music before, but the music they did for Batman's theme has the distinction of being the only Batman movie theme that is not memorable at all.
Just can't. Gun to my head, couldn't hum it for you.
And there have been a lot of Batman movie themes.
Mm-hmm.
Batman Forever has a good theme.
Good theme. Not a great theme. You're right.
No, I mean it stands its own, stands its ground against these other great themes. But the Junkie XL one. I bet if I said that to Dude Bro on Island, who's big Batman v Superman fan, he'd be like, "It's purposely nothing. It's not supposed to be memorable." Okay,
he's killed you with a rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just so interesting to me of like these corporate decisions that do make sense when you're talking about them in an investor meeting, to shareholders. Like, we're going to do a Harry Potter TV series, and a bunch of old dudes going and just nutting everywhere in a boardroom at the same time.
Unless do they have the sets still built? They'll just use the same fucking sets. Come on, like,
I know it's
why not?
I just say it's so interesting how I think it's the dullest and like, granted, I don't think there is anything else to also do in Harry Potter. That's the other additional problem is maybe we can explore something. There's nothing else to explore.
Who are these poor fucking kids you're gonna lock in for the next decade?
Yeah, right. I think the only thing that would potentially be interesting, if you were to go back and redo Harry Potter, is animated. A big which is what Spielberg I think wanted to do initially. When he was eyeing it, he wanted to animate them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I still think that's interesting.
I thought his thing was he wanted to combine the first 2 books, and they were like, "No,
animate them.
We're not doing that because of money."
Which is so funny of like, way back when those were coming out, I always, all these books will come out and then all those movies will come out. That wasn't guaranteed.
No, right. Yeah, it is interesting to look back on it. Like, I think they made the right decision, clearly, financially and all that. But, of being like, well, we could go with Steven Spielberg or Chris Columbus.
Yeah.
This is tough.
I think when you're on a gigantic property like that, Spielberg is gonna make a Spielberg movie, and Chris Columbus will follow directions.
For sure, yes. Also, he's made expensive movies before. He can bring it in on time. He's worked with kids. They're not like necessarily looking for like an artistic vision. They're looking for
right. I also think Spielberg wasn't like interviewing for Spielberg wanted to buy Harry Potter, and this is what he wanted to do with it.
He's like, hey,
this would have been Spielberg down.
I mean, why don't they do that? Just like now that we've got the movie versions that are faithful, it's like just get like Spielberg do his animated movie. Just like
right. I'm willing to bet those would be pretty good. The movies, I've revisited them a couple of times over the year while we were in the recovery room at the hospital. They happened to be playing them all on Sci-Fi Channel, which I assume is all Sci-Fi Channel does now. It's just play the Harry Potter movies on a loop. And it's funny how most of them are fine to not great. I think it's a lot of just like, it's the book, but it's a movie now. See? Huh?
Right.
I would largely give them like, and don't get me wrong, I'm saying this as someone who was happy to watch them all on TV that day. I enjoy them, but I think they're all like C's, usually C's, except for that fucking third one, which is a fucking home run. The Alfonso Cuarón one is great, an actually good movie.
I have seen all the movies, but I don't think I've seen any of them more than once.
Interesting.
I enjoyed them all mostly in the theater, but with the exception of Order of the Phoenix, which you and I saw at a midnight screening in Canada in what I can only describe as the smelliest theater. I can still smell it in my dreams. It was bunch of middle schoolers who did not yet know how to use deodorant, which is fine, and it was jam-packed.
I went to a paranormal convention in July in an armory in Ansonia, Connecticut, and it was nowhere near as harrowing as that midnight screening of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Oh man, yeah. Oh, and you and I were both disappointed, as I recall.
Yes. Not one of the good ones. And so of course that guy is still, they say he's still directing Harry Potter movies to this day.
Yeah, he finished them from there.
It's time to pull Mission Impossible out of the vault.
Yeah, right.
But it's when Christopher McQuarrie kind of took over Mission Impossible, I remember being disappointed that like kind of a David Yates thing was going to happen.
Right.
I like different directors having to work within kind of these confines. I always think that's really interesting. Still like all fit together perfectly well, but like little touches that are interesting. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, Christopher McQuarrie is very good at making movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the exact same thing when he was going to direct another one. I was like, no, let's keep it going, bring in new blood. And then Fallout came out, and I'm like, oh, this is one of the best action movies I've ever seen in my life. Okay.
You can just keep going.
Yeah, I'll shut up. Yeah, just keep making them. Great.
Whatever you want to do.
You know what you're doing. I mean, that was what they were doing with the Alien movies until Ridley Scott came back and directed a bunch. But
that's true. That's true. I think by the end of by the tail end of that initial run of Alien movies, I think it was Who's Cheap?
Yeah. Only if you count Alien versus Predator, then it was like Who's Cheap?
Oh, I half watched that. I think it was on Pluto at one point, and it was the middle of the night, and I just like, I haven't seen this, and you know me, I'll watch anything. I will watch some. I flipped through like, this is fucking crap.
Yeah. It was Freddy versus Jason all over again, where it's like, oh, this is what we thought we wanted for like 20 years. But turns out there's not much to do once you get there, and it's alien fighting a predator.
Right.
Turns out a predator fighting an alien is a lot like a human fighting an alien, only with different weapons. I don't know.
I will defend whoever wins, we lose is maybe one of the greatest movie taglines of all time. Zach is making the perfecto hand signal.
Fantastic tagline. Unfortunately, it's a big lie because the predator teams up with the humans. So if the predator wins, we win. But
A+ marketing department. As a guy who's worked in marketing for a long part of his adult career, great tagline.
Yeah. Got butts and seats for sure.
I had one other thing I watched this week. I watched a lot of things this week. But man, I watched Cabin Fever 2016. Okay, so Cabin Fever is a movie I want to say from like 2002. It's Eli Roth's debut movie, a movie that I would never accuse of being good, but was a certain DVD staple in the suburbs in the 2000s, and like everybody had it, everyone had seen it. I liked it when I saw it. In 2016, they pretty strictly remade it. It's just, look, we made Cabin Fever again. Why?
Did this movie go in theaters?
It was a theatrical release.
How come I don't remember?
It bombed big time. So the Cabin Fever 2016 remake has a whopping coveted 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. A fucking fat goose egg, which is funny. It's not that bad in a vacuum, right? Like, it's competently made. Everyone in it is fine for this kind of like high concept horror movie. And I think in a pure vacuum, this would be somewhere in the 40s to 60s on Rotten Tomatoes. You know, the original fucking movie's score.
Yeah.
They made a couple of like little changes of like the characters are like a little more likable. There is, I don't know if you've seen Cabin Fever.
No.
There is a scene in it that is a little dicey on the consent plane that they've made to make unambiguously consensual in this movie. That's
progress, Brian.
We're measuring progress by Cabin Fever remakes.
Yeah.
But man, I gotta say, one of the issues with this very ill-advised thing is a Cabin Fever is a nasty, mean-spirited little fucking movie. It's a nasty fucking movie. And kind of sanding the edges off of it was like, why the fuck are we doing this?
Yeah.
Why the fuck are we doing this?
Yeah.
They literally started from Eli Roth's script. He has a fucking co-writer credit on it because they used his script.
What? Is this like, were they going to lose the rights if they didn't make a Cabin Fever movie or something?
I'm wondering if it's that. I'm wondering if these are the little mysteries I'd love to explore.
Did you do any research? Like,
you can't, because no one cares. Like, no one cares about this thing or remembers it exists. So no one's asking the questions that I am at 6 a.m. when I'm feeding my screaming daughter. Of like, why is this? I wonder if they were like, the plan was to do like another sequel, and then they kind of got in over their heads and were like, fuck it, take the original script, we'll just do that again.
Yeah.
I also wonder, in 2013 they remade Evil Dead, and they kind of did like they kind of took like the goofy college movie Evil Dead and made it a more straight, like down the line horror movie, and it's pretty good. I think it made okay money. I wonder if they were like, what do we have? But Evil Dead was like, good though.
Also, Evil Dead was like 30 years after the original, and also Evil Dead was like a franchise apart from just the first one.
Right.
Whereas Cabin Fever,
I think it's an afterthought, kind of like, what do we have that we can do that we can chase this with? Yeah. But that said, I don't think Evil Dead did that well. They didn't make a sequel or anything. Like,
well, it's coming out.
Evil Dead Rise, though, isn't related. That's kind of to the quote unquote original continuity.
Oh, really?
It's not related to the remake. I think it's mostly standalone anyway. But it is no, it's not related to the remake.
Interesting.
But yeah, I don't know. Weird. I'm gonna get to the bottom.
I think
why the fuck they remade Cabin Fever.
Think that's a Patreon episode for us.
Just me with a fucking. I haven't seen my wife and child for days. My office is covered in like red string.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to know why.
You got like a photo of the producer just like in his house, like you're just like in the bushes taking a picture.
What does he do with his little life?
Papyrus.
Yes, exactly. Oh
So
boy.
I watched Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. I think we'll talk
I'm
about that
seeing
after
that
you
this
see it.
weekend.
Yeah, you're seeing it this weekend.
What are your broad thoughts?
The broad thing is it's Chris Pine is charming. That's my broad.
Great.
Yeah. It's funny. It's fun. It looks like a modern movie is my big criticism, but
Sure.
but I had a good time.
We have a sitter Saturday night. I think that's the one we're gonna go see. I'm looking forward to. My expectations are pretty tempered. Of like, I'm gonna have a beer during the movie and have some popcorn, and hopefully it's some fun.
Yeah, I think you won't be disappointed in that if your expectations are that exactly.
Sure, great.
And I'm sure you'll pick up on things that I didn't because I don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons. But
I have made my entire personality a game from 1974. And people do keep asking me what I think about it, and I'm like, I don't know. I'll get around to it fucking eventually. It's a fucking movie. I don't care.
No, it's
we
fun.
should for
Go ahead.
Patreon. We should eventually do the 2000 Dungeons and Dragons movie, which is terrible.
Oh, I thought you were going to say we should do a Dungeons and Dragons Smallville.
We absolutely should play the official Smallville role playing game for Patreon.
Wait, I forgot there was a Smallville role playing game,
and it was like pretty well received when it came out. It's not to get too into fucking role playing games, but like it's a little more complicated than I enjoy. But that was the style at the time it came out. But yeah, we're definitely, maybe that'll be a Patreon thing. That might be big enough that might just go onto the main feed. I don't know yet. But
and
don't take a chance. Subscribe to the Patreon.
We have to get all of our previous guests back to be a part of it.
Yes. That'll be fun. That'll definitely happen. It's not, it kind of, I want to line it up more with it coming out in where we are in the series, which is a little more 7, 8, 9.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So maybe we'll get impatient, but
no. That's great. That's something to look forward to.
So Dungeons and Dragons. What else?
And then I watched a movie from 1964, 67, something like that, called The Train. John Frankenheimer. It's a thriller. It's really good. It's about the Nazis trying to take a bunch of like priceless paintings back to Germany when they're retreating, and it's about the French trying to sabotage that. Good, solid movie. Thumbs up.
Fun. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I hadn't until recently. I heard about it on a podcast.
Cool.
This is why I am getting higher scores on the box office game than you are, because I hear about these titles on podcasts and then they pop
real
up.
fast. So remind what is the box office game?
The box office game is an online game that you and I play separately pretty much every day. How to describe it? Basically, it picks a day, a random date between now and when they have kept track of the box office. A weekend, sorry. And it'll say, you have to guess what the top 5 grossers were from that specific weekend. And the only hints you get are the studio, the amount of money it made that weekend, the amount of money it's made up to that point, and how many weeks it's been out. That's the only information you get. You can get hints, but those cost you points. So out of 1,200, was it 1,200 points is the total?
I believe so, yeah.
The maximum possible points. My highest score is like 11 something.
I haven't touched it. So Emily and I played together. I turned you on to it. I think I told you about it on the podcast.
Yeah,
a couple episodes back, and you were like, give me the link to that.
Yeah.
Emily and I usually play it like while we're making food or something, like around lunchtime we play it together. So it's worth noting you handily usually win. Not sometimes they're close-ish, but that's Emily and I together. So one of these times I have to try to do it myself and like see how I would stack up.
Usually beat me when it's like late aughts, early 10s.
Sure.
You guys do a lot better. I don't know why, but I was checked out or something. But
it happened, it's like I've had off years on movies, off couple of years. My absolute fucking sweet spot is when I get like 2004, 2005, 2006. That's when when I was working at a movie theater as a teenager, I can probably tell you not only what the movie is, but what song is in the fucking closing credits.
Well, today we got a 2004 one, but maybe that was before you started at the theater because you said you didn't
there was. Today there were Mr. 3000 starring Bernie Mac. I don't think I'd ever heard of.
I saw it in the theater. Wasn't very good.
And then, oh man, every now and again you get a Resident Evil movie, and
you have to go through all the titles sound the same.
That's the thing, and there's no I was willing to bet from the year 2004, I could guess that it was like Resident Evil 2.
Right.
But none of them have numbers in them. It's all Resident Evil Apocalypse, Resident Evil Retribution, and you just gotta fucking
it's
take
funny.
some swings.
I knew the same thing. I was like, it's gotta be 2. Either 2 or 3.
Right.
But I was working at Blockbuster, and I think I remember the cover, but I couldn't remember if it was Apocalypse or Extinction, because both of them mean basically the same thing. And then the fun thing about that game is once in a while you get a movie where you're like, oh yeah, I forgot that movie has vanished from history. Today we got Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow,
which I saw in theaters. Zach, hold on to your asshole twice.
Brian, I saw it once in theaters and I liked it.
And then I made my mom go see it. My mom was in the city today because she has a grandchild now, and she just camps outside of my apartment door she lives 3 hours away.
Well, that's gonna come in handy at some point.
Truly, but baby, give me baby.
You're like, Mom, come back when the novelty's worn off.
Seriously. But we were playing while she was over today, and its number one was Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow, which I got like Jude Law science fiction. I'm like, Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow, and my mom was like, I've never heard of that, and I was like, woman, I made you see it with me in 2004.
That's awesome. It took me Gwyneth Paltrow to get that was Sky Captain, because it was like, it said mystery thriller then science fiction, and I was like, wait, but I fully forgot that movie existed, and then
as has America.
I don't know, did they ever know? I don't think it made. I think it was a bomb.
I was surprised to find it at number 1, but it was September. So.
Right. Yeah. Well, we should probably talk about Smallville, right?
I guess so.
That's what the people want.
That's what the people want.
Surprisingly, people who come to this Smallville recap podcast aren't super interested.
Fuck them. Subscribe to our Patreon. Fuck you. Coming out strong as a heel.
Oh my god. Yeah, but you're not even on Red Kryptonite.
I kind of hit him.
You hit him with your car? Actually, it might be fun to have a dog around. I was thinking of calling him Krypto.
Fresh new Smallville on the WB Wednesday.
All right. Krypto is the 14th episode in the 4th season of Smallville and the 18th episode overall. It aired on February 16th, 2005. I'm, of course, reading directly from smallville.fandom.com and the hardworking strangers who compile very detailed episode synopses that we just read thanklessly every single week.
And then just throw shade at constantly. The hard work. These people did this work for free.
And then two fucking adult man chuckle fucks. I mean, like, you misspelled a word.
Right, yeah. Oh, really, Wiki? Yeah. Yeah.
This is this episode is, of course, Krypto. This is the Krypto the Super Dog episode. I'm playing currently the theme to Krypto the Super Dog, a weird cartoon that you shouldn't look up because it's weird.
Krypto the Super Dog. Krypto, it's Super Dog time. He's a super dog. He's a superhero. He came to Earth from outer space, and his name is Krypto. He's super strong. He's super brave. He's Krypto the Super Dog. Krypto.
And we're back. That was weird.
Are you really gonna put that song in, or is it just gonna be?
It goes Krypto the Super Dog. Krypto. Krypto would, of course, also would be played later by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, of all people.
So Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Bud the dog. I think that this dog's name is Bud. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I've read that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two major Krypto the Super Dogs.
Gotta say, I wish Bud the dog was in more movies than The Rock.
Okay, so a small town grocer is robbed by two dogs. A black Rottweiler and a golden retriever.
I would guess which one the bad one is. Yeah.
So the way this actually opens up is two guys pull into like a parking lot and they're like, it's go time. And then we actually see the two dogs in the store. And I'm trying to like put together like, did the dudes become the dogs? Is this going to be like a were-dog episode? Is smart. We are like season 4. Are we already doing fucking where is Krypto a were-dog?
What I like is that after it starts with those two guys in the car, it cuts to inside the store, and the grocer is like counting the till or whatever, and he hears the door open, and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And he looks up, and there's no one there. And he looks around, and then he sees the dogs, and he relaxes, and he's like, "Hey, fellas, my question is, he's like, oh, the dogs opened the door and walked in here. These two dogs with no leashes. That explains it. Right. Hey, fellas."
That was so. I had a party a couple of years ago. Actually, many years ago at this point. And it went pretty late into the night. Lots of inebriation taking place. And my buddy Eli did not know that I had a cat, apparently. Because in the middle of this party, my cat comes wandering out, and Eli has a full, like, where'd this fucking cat come from? And you know what? I think for a moment he lived in a beautiful world where a strange cat just came into our apartment.
Showed up to the party. Just showed up to the party.
And you know what? I want to live in that world.
Have I told the story on our show of when I woke up one morning? Okay, I don't think I did.
I don't think so.
We used to live in this apartment. It was on the second floor. In the summertime, there's no AC, so we left the door to our back patio open, or balcony or whatever, because no one can get up there, and it's just cool at night. So one morning I woke up, and I'm just, half awake, enjoying this summer morning, and then I feel a rustling in my bed. And I look down, and there's a fucking cat in my bed with me.
Made itself right at home.
Just hanging out.
So that's just your cat now, right?
I gently put him outside, and he found his home.
I'm sure he went where he belonged. That would just be my fucking cat.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the dogs attacks the grocer with the force to dent a steel door, while the other opens a safe and takes the money out. It is revealed that the dogs answer to two teens, Zach and Josh Greenfield. They collect the Rottweiler Hercules and the money, but the retriever, whom they call Einstein, runs away into the night. After getting kicked out of college, Lois Lane is on her way to move back in with the Kents. Back in is a strong word. She only just stayed with them for a little while. She hits something in the road and gets out of the car, horrified to see a dog. It seems injured, so she collects the dog and takes it to the farm.
She had a funny line there. She said, "You're going to be all right. Everyone I've ever hit was all right."
Man, I missed that. That's a great line.
Yeah, that's funny.
Very Lois Lane line. The Kents wake up in the middle of the night to see that the dog has snapped its chain and broken into the house and the refrigerator. Lois tries to explain that she was going to take him to a vet, but he seemed fine. She chained him up as she moved her things, but when they inspect the barn, they see a wooden post completely shattered. That is not a load. A post does not count as broken farm equipment, correct? It is part of a literal farm, but it's not equipment. It is structural damage. That's different.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I was gonna say if the chain broke,
That's
we
a good.
can count that, but the chain didn't break.
Right.
I want to say roughly at this point in the show is when we have like not the opening credits, but the credits afterwards that just appear on the screen slowly. And when I saw a special appearance by Jane Seymour as Genevieve Teague, I audibly went, "Ugh."
Seriously.
No shade at Jane Seymour, who I think is great. It's not her fault that this character is nothing, and this storyline is nothing. And
I didn't think it was possible for this storyline to hit further lows, and yet here we are on the episode Krypto.
Talk about treading water. Oh my God.
I meant to ask, I didn't realize, I didn't think to pay attention to it. Erica Durance hasn't become officially like main cast yet, right? She's not in the intro yet.
No, I think it's next season is when she becomes.
Got it. Okay, so highly allergic to the dog, Lois goes back to bed, and Clark reasons that he will stay up and do his farm chores so that he can use his powers without Lois seeing.
At this point, he says that Lois has already re-recorded their answering machine, which is psychotic behavior. That's actually psychotic. That's not. We've crossed over from cute and silly to like this is a problem.
We're not gonna do that, Lois. Already did. Okay, the dog observes Clark's super speed as he repairs the post in the barn. Is this the first like significant animal work in an episode of Smallville? I can't think of another one where
there's a lot
horses,
of there was
I
some
guess.
horse riding.
I have to wonder, like, okay, we're gonna do a dog episode with two dogs. Surely a director of this episode was like, "Fuck, why the fuck did we do this?"
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those are some long ass fucking days.
Yeah, probably.
I've worked with animals in the past, and we didn't even need them to do anything. We just needed them to be, and it was a long fucking day.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. As someone who works with animals, and I don't even need them to be on camera, I can tell you they don't cooperate.
Yeah, nope. They got their own fucking plans.
Yeah.
They don't even know. This dog doesn't even know he's on TV.
Are you there? You're there?
I'm there. I'm back.
You're
Am I back?
You're back.
I just saw it go like, oh, you're offline. Fuck.
It was just for a second. A second.
All right.
Okay. Quick thing. Clark is looking at the dog, and he goes, "Oh, I found a microchip under his skin. We should go get that scanned." And Lois isn't like, "How did you find the microchip?
How'd you fucking
Clark?"
find that microchip, buddy?
He doesn't ask him. She doesn't even bat an eye. And the writers just think they can just get away with that shit, and they're right because no one gives a fuck.
It's like
No
you
one
wouldn't
was
even do the
listening.
line like he probably has a microchip,
Right? Yeah, exactly.
a thing that's reasonably common for dog owners. You have to be like, I saw it, I found it, I fucking found it.
Right? Yeah, he has a microchip. I know that because I have X-ray vision.
The next morning, Chloe brings Lois's mail to her, meets Clark, and sees the dog. Clark explains how they got the dog. She asks about Lois and him. Hang on. Clark explains how they got the dog. She asks about Lois and him. Okay. Clark complains that he can't be himself with Lois. Chloe notes that he can be himself with the dog now and mentions she is also here. Wiki. Thank you for writing all of our show notes for us.
Yeah. You get that.
Oh man, I gotta tell you, speaking of that, I gotta tell you a thing I did. I've been playing around with ChatGPT, just fucking around, and I was curious. Like, I did type, we might fuck around with something for comedy purposes on Patreon this month. But I typed in like generate notes, like bulleted notes of the plot of, and I type, an episode of Smallville. And it did generate concise notes on an episode of Smallville that did not exist. And that's, I think, part of the AI thing. It just made up an episode of Smallville. It was like, this isn't what happens in the episode.
Do we just slip that into our recap one time? Just like a made up episode that the wiki did?
And then maybe there's some sort of prize for someone, the first person to get in touch with, like, that episode didn't fucking happen.
Yeah, because most of our listeners have never seen
Yes.
Smallville.
I think there is a one print only Talon Mix t-shirt that goes to the person. It's like, that episode's fucking fake. So we'd need ChatGPT to come up with or we'd have to write it, which I don't fucking want to do. Like, would have to write a full synopsis of the fake episode as the wiki.
Right. Can you type that in chat? The thing? GPT?
The thing is, it often won't say it can't do it. It'll just spit out something, and it'll just be like, this, it's like me at any job I've had. I'm like, is this good? And then if they don't get yelled at, like, if I don't get yelled at, like, all right, chill.
Yeah, that's funny.
Chloe goes to find Lois, and Clark ties the dog to a tractor, but the dog pulls through through the fence to the front yard. Is this broken? Because the tractor's fine, the fence is just fucked. But the fence also has to be structural, right?
Yeah, yep. That's not equipment, I don't think.
Clark realizes there is something different about the dog and uses his X-ray vision to locate an identification chip under its skin. Lois and Chloe come out from the house and see the tractor and dog. Lois is very surprised. Chloe puts on a show that she is surprised too, but tries to protect a secret, whatever it might be. All right, Wiki. And after
this is a rough wiki entry.
The wiki is going nuts here.
They're giving us lots of details that we don't
about
need.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. And after, wait. Okay, listen to the sentence here. Chloe puts on a show she is surprised to, but tries to protect a secret, whatever it might be, and after that goes away. And okay,
wait, are there commas in there?
Okay. but tries to protect a secret, whatever it might be, comma, and after that goes away. Okay, I see now. It read to me as like protect a secret, whatever it might be, and after that goes away.
Right.
Now I can't even fake read it and how I read it initially. But
no, that's a rough sentence.
it's rough. But that's part of the fun here on the Talon Mix. I say as most people fucking turn this off. Sometimes I check the analytics and see the listening data, and I see sharp drop-off points, and I go, I wonder what I said there.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
Okay, Clark tells Lois that they can probably get the chip scanned at the vet. So after arguing over what to call him being the dog, they take the dog to the vet. The Greenfield brothers are running the shelter, and Lois notices that the dog growls at them and is reluctant to go with the brothers.
So we got to stop here.
Yeah.
It's not the vet. They take him to the shelter. The guy, one of the brothers, the guy working at the desk, his name is Zach.
Mm-hmm.
There's someone who works at an animal shelter named Zach. Just want to point that out.
Zach, if you were to come at your shelter into possession of a kryptonite super dog, how quickly or at what point do you think the idea of crime would cross your mind?
Never, because training a dog is really fucking hard.
That's really fucking hard. It'd probably just be easier to do crime yourself.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. That sounds like so much work. Plus, like, they would tear up all my shit for sure. I have cats. I can't deal with that. So this guy,
a super dog doesn't seem more effective than a ski mask and a gun.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Just more work.
Yeah, right. Sorry, you were saying.
So they come into this animal shelter and they're like, hey, we found this dog. We were wondering if you could scan it. And Zach, animal shelter worker Zach, says, I guess. Like, this is a weird request that he's never gotten before. At an animal shelter. Like, no one comes in every day and says, can you scan this animal for me? That's pretty much the job.
It's also you don't recognize this dog and you can't be like, oh, that dog is here.
Right.
That fix your whole thing. And they'd be like, okay.
And then when he goes back to talk to his brother is clearly Canadian because he says tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yes. Oh, Canada. Oh, Canada. This is a total tangent. Do you remember, get ready for this sentence. It's not the first time we've said this on the show. After 9/11,
the numbers just went.
Do you remember that song, that cheesy ass song, that was and I'm proud to be an American? That guy also released a song for Canadians. And it's just saying, I'm proud to be a Canadian. It's exactly the same, but it's about Canada.
No.
Yep. 100%. You can look it up. It's fucking real.
That song is called God Bless the USA by, I think, Lee Greenwood. And it came out in the original Gulf War.
Got it.
David Cross did a stand-up bit where he talks about that. And he's like, then fucking 9/11 happened. 9/11 remix.
Got it. Dark. Yeah. There is a Canadian version. I guess maybe it was probably pre 9/11 then. Maybe it was. I don't know though. Weird.
Very
just
weird.
Just weird.
Just Mad Libs your country title in. It's fine.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so they scan the tag and the owner comes up as Luther Corp. Zach muses that it must be some kind of lab dog and offers to return it. Zach, this was not the move.
No.
Zach,
No.
you could have told them, oh my God, that's my dog.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And they would ask 0 fucking questions.
Zach is not the brains of the operation.
Clearly.
No.
So Clark doesn't want to leave the dog there, so he asks Lois to take it back to the farm while he goes to talk to Lex, but the brothers make him leave his name and number. Zach reports that Einstein has been found and is at the Kent. Don't make no sense.
Is there another wiki we can use?
I'm talking about Smallville now.
Oh,
Once
okay.
again, this dog you've been using for crime. Why do you call Luthor Corp? Why?
Wait. They're calling Luthor Corp?
Zach reports that Einstein has been found and is maybe
To his brother. He
okay.
reported
Got
to
it.
his brother.
Got it,
See,
got
this
it,
is
got it,
wiki.
got
This
it.
is wiki issues.
This is wiki. This is Smallville's got it.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Meanwhile, what's Genevieve Teague up to?
Yeah, bro, can't wait to get to that. We got a couple paragraphs before we get to fucking Dr. Quinn medicine witch. Zach reports that Einstein has been found and is at the Kent farm. Hercules is locked in a cage and Josh antagonizes it. Oh, he's mean to dogs. Not good. The brothers talk about how Josh used to work in a Luthor Corp lab and he used a kryptonite injection to make super dogs. They make plans to get their dog back.
I'm just trying to figure out the chain of events that happened here. He worked at a lab where they helped make the super dogs. Okay. How do we get from there to they work at the animal shelter?
Unclear. I don't know, Zach.
Like-
how do people start working at animal shelters?
No, but I'm saying, did he say, oh, I would like to train this dog to be a bank robber? Maybe he'll show up at the animal shelter, so I should get a job there. Like, what is the animal shelter thing just totally unrelated? Just like that's his area of expertise. So,
How the fuck do we find someone from the Smallville writers' room who can just serve as a fucking consultant?
right, we just call them every time we have a stupid fucking question because Talkville's
we
not
have-
answering them.
Bill's not answering these fucking questions.
Those cowards would not answer our simple questions that we called and asked them. Those cowards who we both are huge fans of.
Huge fans of, and granted, some of those questions may have been drunkenly screaming about draft day.
That was your brother. That's a whole different thing. I don't speak for him.
But like we need so we need someone who worked on the show in some capacity to be a line in on this show. So hey, if you're listening to this, if you know anybody who worked on the fucking show and wants to be a resource for us
on Talkville, when they have a question like this, Rosenbaum will sometimes text Al Go or Al Goff or whatever his name is, and he'll give him some little tidbit about behind the scenes. So like our equivalent would be like the caterer or something like
anybody. Yeah. If you worked on Smallville in any capacity for any amount of time and want to be our consultant, the answers don't have to be right. Fuck, dude. Okay, Clark goes to question Lex about Luthor Corp's experiments on dogs. They have an uneasy conversation in which Lex says that his father had a number of unsuccessful side projects. One of them did indeed involve making super strength dogs with meteor rock injections.
So this scene starts once again with Lex breaking in pool. Like we should have kept track of those. Next time through, we're keeping track of that.
Next time through. Okay. So, but and this is, I'm reading directly from the wiki here, but he had the dogs humanely destroyed. Lionel. He asks Clark if his dog is acting unusually, indirectly saying so that if so, it would be a liability for Lex. Clark says that the dog is perfectly normal. Yep, no, anyway, I didn't come to talk about that at all. I have to go.
There's a lot of weird tension between the two in that scene. Their relationship's at a weird point.
It's
like
I feel like even the writer's room maybe doesn't know where Clark and Lex are at.
Right, yeah, exactly. Because Clark comes in and Lex is like, Clark, great timing. I'm just about to break. Grab a stick. And Clark's like, we do experiments on dogs. And then Lex is like, I don't think that's any of your business, teenager.
So clearly there must be like regular fucking like pool and Xbox hangout sessions that we just don't see.
Yeah, we only see the tension.
It's if the majority of our friendship was me busting into your house and just go, what were you doing on Tuesday?
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't want to be buds, right?
No, especially if you were a high schooler and I was a billionaire. I'm like, get the fuck out of my house. I don't care if you saved my life once.
So there must be pizza and Xbox sessions.
Totally.
There
it's
must
like
be.
Every weekend they are having the time of their lives, and then we just happen to see them every couple of weeks have a little fight.
Right. Show us a hangout sesh episode. Come on.
Give me that episode.
Clark says that the dog is perfectly normal. Back at the farm, Martha and Jonathan argue over whether Clark should keep the dog, especially after it cracks the dining room table in half. Cleaning up that night, Jonathan is attacked by the super strong Rottweiler. The golden retriever saves Jonathan, and the two dogs growl at each other until the Rottweiler hears its calling whistle. It runs away, and the retriever chases it away, but returns to the farm. You work at an animal shelter, so I'm just going to say a thing that you probably already know. Apparently, to break up a dog fight, lift up the hind legs. Throws them off the rhythm.
They're like, what the fuck are you doing?
The fuck was that?
I'm trying to fight a dog here. Did the wiki go over Genevieve Teague's first scene, or are they just saving that shit for the end?
I'm scanning now the whole. I think we get a meanwhile on Genevieve Teague.
Okay, then I'll save it. I have some notes.
Oh, it seems like all of Genevieve Teague, that whole storyline just gets fucking bumped to the end here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's fine.
When's the last time Lana has shared a scene with Clark, the main character of the television show?
I mean, this is a rough stretch. This has been a really good season. But this is
a Hall of Famer bad storyline in a good season.
Exactly. Yeah. And it has separated the characters that we love from each other.
Yeah.
Luckily, we have Lois and Clark, which helps a little bit. But Lionel, John Glover must have been doing a play because he's been gone for weeks and weeks.
Right. Doing some real acting, not just coming in and being amazing at 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
John Glover is the best on this show, giving it medium effort. John Glover's home for dinner every day and loves this fucking gig. Don't get me wrong.
Oh my gosh. He comes in at the end of this episode for 2 minutes and he phones it in from Japan and he knocks Jensen Ackles out of the fucking water. And I like Jensen Ackles, but he just comes in and is like, oh, Can I just destroy you right now?
Jensen Ackles, I like Jensen Ackles. I like Jensen Ackles on this show. Well, I liked him earlier in the season on this show.
It's not
But,
his fault
like,
what's happening with the character. It's
absolutely. So, like, but there is an element of like, everything I'm saying is silly. And John Glover just wanders in like, that doesn't fucking matter. We're getting paid.
yeah, that's such a great way to put it. I honestly think like he was fun in the beginning of the season. He had some dynamics. It was interesting. And now he's just been stuck in this fucking storyline. And he's just like, oh, how many times do I have to have the same conversation?
It's the same.
And then you're right. John Glover comes in and is like, I don't care how much the same it is. We're getting paid and I'm going to kill it.
If the check's fucking clear, John Glover's here on set.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
My only hope is that we get John Glover on someday. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I don't care if we have to ambush him at a con with a
Just
fucking
like-
portable recorder.
Outside his house. John Glover.
Yeah. Jonathan warns Clark that he probably shouldn't get too attached to the golden retriever because if it did indeed attack the grocer, it will have to be put down.
I like that Johnny K is also like, oh, what happens when Clark goes off to college? I'll be the one taking care of it. And it's like, you have a fucking farm, bro. You worried about one more animal on your farm?
Seriously.
Yeah, like, oh, I'll have to take care of it. You mean like you do the chores now at the
Yeah,
farm?
right. What do you take care of on the farm, Jonathan Kent? I think maybe your son who's Superman.
Honestly,
It's a lot off your plate.
it would be silly if you had a son who was Superman and you did any work on the farm.
Right. Just like, hey, can you go handle that thing in 2 seconds?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't break my back out there with my heart problem, just like working my ass off in the fields.
Why are you doing anything? Your son is Superman. I also love here. Clark gives he said the next sentence here in the wiki is, this upsets Clark, who insists that the retriever is a good dog and just needs a chance, which he specifically is like, hey, you adopted me. You didn't know, you thought like I could have been dangerous. Yeah, but like, Clark, you weren't an adult who wasn't punching people to death.
Right, yes. Now,
And
as
then-
it so happens, the golden retriever wasn't the violent one. They were just retrieving the
but they
good.
don't know that. They don't
No.
know that.
No,
So they haven't heard reports that adult Clark Kent is punching people to death.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's not the same. If a dog has a history of attacking people, that's a real dangerous thing to bring home.
Yeah. Man, do you want to hear a positive dog thing from
Yeah.
my life? Was very, very, very worried about my dog and my daughter. My dog has been difficult. He's a shelter dog, and it's been a rough couple of years with him. It's been a lot of training that doesn't really take. He's been really, really difficult. So the last couple of weeks of the pregnancy, and then the first couple of weeks of my daughter being home, he's been at my parents'. And we were really, really, really worried about what would happen when he came home. He's been a fucking angel.
Wow.
The best he's ever been. Like, I would say on a good day here normally, he's a C+. Like, that's a good fucking day for Mikey. Since he's been home, straight up A+.
Hell yeah.
He's been great, which I was not fucking this was the last thing I expected.
Great.
Last thing I expected. He's been nailing it, which is wild.
Go Mikey.
So,
fuck yeah.
Positive dog news. I did not think it was going to work out at all. And I don't know if he got like a sixth sense about it, but he has been perfect.
That's great. That's great.
So good on Mikey, man.
Hell yeah, Mikey.
Don't fuck it up. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Lois and Clark go to investigate the vet's office, where Clark finds a map and a schedule for Luthor Corp's payroll. He figures out that the brothers are going to rob an armored truck.
No, I'm sorry. Stop.
Mhm.
That's not quite what happens. Clark finds a binder from Luthor Corp. He opens it up. He looks at it for approximately 3.5 seconds, and he says, "Oh, they're going to hit an armored car at this time." Was there just a sticky note that said, "We're going to rob an armored car at 3 p.m.?" Like,
I mean, how do you communicate your crimes?
he opened this. The binder was like 3 inches thick of notes and stuff. He opens it and is like, "They're gonna." Can he read in super speed?
I don't see why not. But I have a more pressing question. I did not rewind to see. I flagged it. I meant to rewind, and then I didn't. Did the binder say secret plan on it? Zach, I think on the spine it maybe said secret plan.
No. What do you know? There's no way. Stop.
There is no way, but Zach, I saw it.
Well, we have
And
to
it was
go
like,
back
I think
and
that said
find
secret
out.
plan.
Okay, well, I'm gonna find out.
um,
Secret plan. Stop it. That can't be real.
I think it did, man. Figures out the brothers are going to rob an armored truck. He tries to distract Lois so that he can super speed and stop them, but she insists on driving them slowly and carefully. Clark uses his super hearing to locate the brothers.
I appreciate Lois being the first person ever to be like, "No, what do you mean you're gonna just go on foot?"
That's
Like
not faster, Clark.
No, yeah. What the hell? Why would you run there? That's insane. No, let's go.
Yeah, there's some fun. The Lois stuff. Lois being at the house is a fun, because especially since Chloe knows now.
Right.
Now having Lois like in such close proximity is such a fun way to, is a fun new complication, new drama that is diluted in this episode by some Genevieve fucking Teague stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know how much they exploit that new wrinkle, but it could have been great.
Shame. Okay, so they see the two brothers robbing a security truck with the dogs in their van subdued in cages with kryptonite liquid vials on top. Lois goes to help the security guards, and Clark climbs into the van to free the dogs. He opens the retriever's cage, but as Einstein jumps out, the vials smash. He falls ill from the kryptonite, and the van drives off with Clark and Hercules in the back. The boys eventually the boys stop eventually to switch cars and discover Clark in the back. Einstein has followed the truck. They lock Clark into a cage and prepare to blow up the whole truck, but the golden retriever jumps in and pulls Clark to safety. Just reading action beats that aren't that interesting.
I like that they find Clark in the back of the truck and he's paralyzed from kryptonite, but they don't know that, and they're not like,
yeah,
what's
right.
wrong with this fucking guy? They're like, I don't know, let's just put him in this cage. Like, no question.
Like, what's this fucking guy's problem?
Yeah, why is he just staring at us?
Usually there's a line like, the meteor rocks. Now I'm just like, fuck this guy.
Like, put him in the cage. Yeah. Also, I don't know if you know how hard it is to lift and maneuver a 220-pound human being.
It's tough.
Like, I'm assuming Clark doesn't weigh 2 tons. I guess he could, but just
He's Superman.
Picking him up and moving him into the cage would have been difficult. They could have done it, but that's a project.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, Clark knocks the brothers out, and Einstein saves the other dog as well. However, it is trapped by the flames, so Clark jumps back in, and despite the kryptonite, is able to rescue the dog and super speed out just as the truck blows up.
Yeah, suddenly the kryptonite wasn't a problem. He literally
right now
he couldn't move at all. But then is it like lifting a car up off your baby or something? Like
something like that. Like, can the adrenaline like eventually kick in? Is it like I don't fucking want to move right now, but if the truck's gonna fucking explode,
right? Yeah, maybe that's a good theory. Oh, by the way, car destruction.
Finally, it's been a while.
God.
This season's been pretty lacking in a lot of our tally points, so I'm excited to get back on the board.
Right. Well, they traded out car destruction for 20-something skin in this season.
right.
This is only
it's an okay trade.
Yeah, this is our third car destruction of the season.
Wow.
That's pathetic. We've just been in Genevieve Teague land.
Genevieve Teague exploding counts as a car wreck if we ever get there. I have no idea how the storyline goes. That could be where this goes. Clark takes the dog back home where the vet gives him a clean bill of health. This is where the vet asks, like, what are you gonna name him? And Clark says, I'm thinking Krypto. Like, that's not an insane thing to name a dog.
Well, especially if you're assuming that no one knows what kryptonite is, because it's not like Superman the comic exists in this world.
Right.
And we don't have cryptocurrency yet.
Right, that takes on a whole new meaning. Yeah.
Like, the closest word is cryptic or like Tales from the Crypt. Like, what are we...
Clark is a big Tales from the Crypt fan.
Also, Lex shows up in this scene and the vet just leaves. Neither one says hi to each other. Just like real rude. You can't say hi to the vet, Lex. You can't introduce yourself to the fucking vet.
So yeah, Lex comes to collect the dog, but Clark says it saved his life and he intends to keep him. Lex overheard Clark saying that he wants to name the dog Krypto, and Lex is like, what's that about? What's that? And Clark is like, Mom! Ah! So you can't name the dog this if you're gonna be like, ah! Every time anyone asks, like, hey, why'd you name your dog something that fucking weird? Hey, my deep dark fucking secret that, like, I'm so terrified I've ruined like personal relationships trying not to let anyone know. I'm deeply afraid of what will happen if it gets out. What if I alluded to it a little bit by naming my dog?
What's your dog's name? Alien Meteor Boy. I mean, superpowers.
No. Clark's real weakness is getting a dog. Clark is delighted when
my dog's name is Heat Vision Boner.
Oh, Clark is delighted when Jonathan allows him to keep him, and Martha suggests Clark name him Shelby after a dog she owned as a child. Why did they name the dog Shelby?
Well, Clark says, or Lois says, you can name your next dog Krypto. So I wonder if the implication is that this isn't the real...
Nietzsche line? Was that a Nietzsche line?
Yes, yeah, it definitely was. Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I didn't even put that together. Oh, fuck. That answers a couple of my questions. Fuck.
So
I didn't even notice that.
The implication is that this isn't the real super dog that he one day will get.
Right. Fuck. I didn't even put that together.
I wonder if that's just like to appease the fans who are like, that's not how super dog.
I was a little bit thinking of it as, this era of the 2000s where we were embarrassed by comic books, right?
Right.
And I'm not clamoring for a Superman movie to like incorporate Krypto or anything, but like even going into like the Nolan movies, starting in like 2005, it was a little bit of like, how do we adapt the silly thing and make it something a little more.
Well, that was
realism
Smallville's
is the wrong word, but
that was Smallville's whole thing too.
right.
For a while.
Like we'll take the silly comic book thing and make it a little less comic booky.
Right.
And I kind of like thought maybe that's what we were doing here of like, no, crypto's not this is crypto in this universe, quote unquote. But no, you're right. There's a niche line there, which led me to they put crypto in Shelby, in a red towel. And does that count as a niche image when clearly this will not be crypto?
Ooh.
Because don't get me wrong, it's an on-purpose illusion.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's yeah.
But does it count as a niche thing? And is there a difference?
Unless we can confirm that this is not Super Dog,
which I guess we can't. Shelby's going to be sticking around for a while. I do not remember Shelby whatsoever. I thought maybe this was a ... and we never see Shelby again.
Oh no, Shelby
sticks
back.
around. Yeah,
Shelby comes back.
Shelby's their dog.
Shelby's like the chicken, the duck, and Friends. He's there when they want him to be.
Right. But my actual why the name Shelby? Do you think there's a reason? Do you think they just liked that for a dog's name?
I don't know. No idea.
I'm scanning. Oh, son of a bitch. I'm just scanning through the Shelby wiki. In the comics, Shelby was the name of one of the dog Clark Kent grew up with on the Kent farm. It is from the fucking comics that he had a dog named Shelby. Son of a bitch.
Wow.
Son of a bitch. What a pull. What a deep pull.
Yeah, good way to go, Smallville writers.
Wow. All right. Are you ready for
Okay. You read the Genevieve T thing because I have to pee. Just read it. I'll be right back.
Great. Meanwhile, Genevieve T questions Lex on his motivations for hiring Jason. These are the same fucking bits from the last couple of episodes. She asks Lex to hire him to keep him away. She asked in past tense Lex to hire him to keep him away from Lana, but is sure Lex is using Jason to find the stones of power. She asks Jason to leave with her, but he confronts her about the orchestration of his and Lana's relationship. Genevieve reveals that she knew of Lana's connection to Isabel Thoreau and that their ancestors were responsible for burning Isabel at the stake.
Oh my gosh, you're still going.
I had some little inserts in the middle.
Okay.
She goes on to reveal that Isabel vowed... Oh, we got a whole paragraph after this. Isabel vowed that she would one day rise from the dead and kill all of Gertrude's heirs. I've compared this before. I run a lot of Dungeons & Dragons. And Dungeons & Dragons sometimes involves a little storytelling. And... No, don't get me wrong. I'll come up with things and then I figure them out week to week because it's just a dumb fucking thing I'm doing with my friends while I drink beers.
Right. Yeah.
And it seems like that's the approach they took for this television show.
for this storyline specifically, yes. Couple notes for things you talked about. That first scene with Genevieve. Lex has a funny line where he says, "You should get together with my father and write a parenting book." And they do this great thing where Genevieve is like, "Don't you want to know how your father..."
Your cat just went
playing. Yeah.
ape shit.
Don't you want to know how your father got his conviction overturned? And Lex says, I'm choosing to believe these reforms, so the question of his guilt or innocence doesn't matter to me anymore. Which is the writers going like, don't fucking worry about it. Shut up.
We're done. We're done with that. That was weeks ago. We're done.
No, shut up. Don't ask that question. We thought we could come up with an answer, but we didn't. So
we're also like in it's 2005. DVDs are probably just being taken seriously as a way to like rewatch a show.
Yeah.
So it is like a very genuine element of like, we're not going to fucking get deep into this. This isn't going to be a major part of the show. We got to move on.
Yeah.
Like, it was a different way of writing television. I'd argue better in some ways, but
in some ways, but they're doing this thing.
It's a trade-off.
They were like, we need to get Lionel out of prison. How? Well, we'll figure it out. Let's plant these seeds. We'll kick the football further down and then they just are finally like, oh, you know what? Maybe we just don't have to ever say. It doesn't matter. It's
funny how I feel like I'm learning about the structure of writing these shows through rewatching it this time. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like it's when I was watching it the first time in Vancouver on your DVDs, it was like, this is the show. This is what happened. Now I can see the gears spinning of like, and we gotta spend a little time with this, and like I can see the pieces of it in a way that's very interesting to me.
Interesting a mess up I caught. Genevieve Teague says to Jason, "We're Gertrude's ancestors, Jason." That would be descendants, not ancestors.
Wow. Good fucking catch, dude.
That's kind of an embarrassing mistake.
That's pretty bad. I didn't notice it. And even like you said, I was like, I'm willing to bet season 11, the comic book series, which we're going to have to read after we finish this, because the animated series is not coming.
You don't know. James Gunn and Michael Rosenbaum are friends. Okay,
that's a good point. But the comics did all sorts of like, I think, bending to make things. Though I doubt I guess I doubt that one offline that they. But if it was embarrassing enough to become an internet meme, the comic books would have done bend over backwards to make it work. Time travel.
Or Genevieve Teague was just high when she said it.
Look, we've all made that mistake. You get too high and you forget how time works. Lana sees them talking, but when Jason doesn't offer any details of the conversation, she asks Chloe to research his ancestors. Chloe tells her that she could only go back as far as Genevieve's grandmother, and the family comes from the French village of French land. It's a lot of fucking syllables here, or fucking consonants.
French land.
I remember that episode of Friends where Phoebe tries to teach Joey French. That's what that looks to me.
Yeah.
That's me. Lana reveals to Chloe that this is the same village her ancestors are from. Jesus fucking Christ. As well as Isabel Thoreau's. Chloe proceeds to tell her that Genevieve's grandmother is the one who moved Isabel's tomb into the church from Paris. Emily was coming out of our bathroom and then back towards our bedroom, crossing her television in the process. And after she hears the line, she turns back to me and repeats, "Why would anyone move a witch's tomb into a church?" And then just went to bed. Not sold on this show yet, despite my best efforts.
I love that she does seem to be following somewhat from what she overhears. Like she's still like she's still keeping track of certain plot points. She probably knows what's going on more than we do with this fucking storyline.
I think it'd be hard to be more lost than I am. The writers are lost. Everyone's lost.
I was going to say, but you don't care the least. The people who care the least were the writers.
Right. Lana wonders why anyone would move a witch's tomb into a church, and Chloe says the only way to find out is to talk to Jason about it. Lionel shows up looking great. He looks great. The little glasses, the short hair. John Glover looks hot here.
Oh, he's a good looking dude.
Good looking dude. Lionel warns Jason not to trust Lex and gives him a copy of the map on the manuscript, which looks straight out of fucking Dungeons and Dragons. And that's it. That's the episode.
So Lionel in that scene is reading a newspaper, and I really feel like they missed an opportunity to have the newspaper be the torch. I just feel like if Lionel was still reading the torch,
been funny.
He's still keeping up with the torch. That would have been fantastic.
Low key, that would just be funny, and they should have done it.
The actual ending of the episode might be the corniest one yet in Smallville, which is like Clark playing frisbee with a dog while there's some needle drop.
Oh, I love that shit though. The needle drop is so the featured music this episode is Anodyne by Speechwriters LLC, which I've never heard of, and I don't know where that is in the episode. And then that cheesy Clark playing with Shelby out in the yard with the frisbee, which little crane shot. I think it's good. I love when they do that. That's Give a Little Bit by the Goo Goo Dolls.
Give a little bit.
I had a big Goo Goo Dolls phase in the 2000s because I was lame.
I don't like that song, but they have a lot of bangers. They have a lot of hits.
Don't get me wrong. It's a terrible fucking song. Most of the Goo Goo Dolls songs I think are fucking terrible.
No,
I love them.
There's some great Goo Goo Dolls songs, like great late 90s.
Of course there are. You're talking to a guy who had their entire 2000s discography. I can say it because I think I love them harder than anybody else. Because I have terrible taste in music. So we got some notes here. I'm just cold reading through them now. On the shed, Chloe drives past to meet Shelby. There are 3 garments hanging in the Superman colors. Okay. Lois is driving a silver GMC Envoy with the logo on the grill inexplicably blacked out. Inexplicably? I think it's pretty explicable.
Yeah, it's
that's how branding works.
Wiki did not do any research.
We've got Stretch of the episode. Clark is seemingly unaffected by the kryptonite serum until it spills, perhaps suggesting that the vials containing it were leaded glass.
Oh.
Sure. From Jonathan and Martha's conversation, it can be assumed that Clark develops.
Someone took time.
Zach, do you have a question about the leaded glass?
Someone took time out of their life to write that. Now, I know the irony of criticizing that when I just took time out of my life to criticize it. But I still think it's worth it.
From Jonathan and Martha's conversation, it can be assumed that Clark developed super strength at age 3, which I'm only reading so that we can log it so that when they definitely contradict that at some point.
Right, yeah. Wasn't he 3 when they got him, or he was 2?
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't know what I'm confusing with Superman the movie and how he appears in the Smallville pilot.
Well, he appears one age in the Smallville pilot, and then that same boy comes back to play him in flashback, so he's just inexplicably older.
Well, I'll maybe get to revisit it again if we do a full commentary on the pilot for our Patreon subscribers, which I'm currently kind of into doing. Look for the link for the Patreon in our description, and if we do it, I don't know. Okay, so we have here during the conversation between Jason and his mother, she says, "We are Gertrude's ancestors, Jason," when she should have said, "We are her descendants." How do you think that was in the script that way? Or do you think she fucked up and no one caught it?
Yeah, I lean towards the latter, but I'm surprised no one caught it.
Right. Right.
I mean, maybe they caught it in the editing room and then it's just too late.
Then there's nothing you can do. What were we going to do? We're going to ADR it? Like, this show's got to
Right.
go out. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I think that's my theory about what happened. I don't think it was in the script.
Right. It's because
I think
the
she had
script, so many people saw the script. Like,
right. And she has so many lines about ancestors in this nonsense storyline, and she's just trying to remember all her lines. It's totally understandable. I wouldn't be surprised.
To be clear, this shit happens.
If the director heard it and was like, "That's a wrap. We got it."
Right.
This episode has a dog. Okay, we gotta keep going. We gotta keep filming.
Right. Hey, we gotta make our fucking day. Oh, this is funny. When picking up Shelby, Lois says, everyone I've ever hit is all right. Which I just like as a funny Lois Lane line, personally. But the wiki has it as a possible allusion to the previous episode where a person she hit ended up paralyzed and died later, though it turned out to be for unrelated reasons. No, I think it's just a funny Lois Lane line.
No, she's talking about hit with her car.
That's a funny thing Margot Kidder would say in Superman.
She's talking about hit with her car, not hit with her fist or whatever.
Agreed. No, that's a funny Margot Kidder would say that in Superman the movie. Yeah. Okay. In Crusade, an episode, Lois stated she's a sucker for stray dogs and naked guys. The second part alluded to her finding a naked Clark in the field. Now she followed the first part by finding a stray dog. Let's see. Oh, whoa. I wonder if this is on purpose. Speaking of Superman the movie, the episode ends with the Goo Goo Dolls cover of Supertramp's 1977 song, Give a Little Bit. The original can be heard on Lois Lane's car radio during the climactic earthquake scene in Superman the movie.
Ooh. I would guess...
My guess would be coincidence, but an interesting one.
I would guess coincidence, but maybe not.
Interesting.
If not, that's a Nietzsche song. No, not quite.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, in the comic book Superman for All Seasons by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, the young Clark Kent has a dog named Shelby. This would make make Shelby the 19th DC Comics character adapted into the series. Clark initially planned to name the new dog Krypto, which alludes to his Kryptonian dog by the same name, who appears in the Superman and Superboy comics. Despite being a dog, Krypto has all the same powers and abilities as Superman. The last scene where Shelby is dried with the red towel is an allusion to Krypto, who wore a red cape, blah, 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 blah. It's funny how the way comics worked in the 60s is that DC Comics was just going, I don't know, would kids buy fucking comic book if it was a fucking dog on it? And now everyone is required to go, yep, Krypto's a fucking thing. I guess does anybody want this?
That's not how they did it in the comic.
It's every you fucking nerds, everything you take seriously was just some guy in a fucking boardroom, probably high, going, the kid's like fucking dog. Put the fucking dog in a cape and we'll see what fucking happens.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Superman sales are down. Give him a dog. One of the names Lois suggests for the dog is Bud, the real name of the dog playing Shelby.
Oh.
And that wraps up Krypto, this week's episode, and our recap here on the Talent Mix. This was episode 80. 80. We've been doing this for a while, bud.
We're chugging along.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show, we of course don't expect this. This is not a guilt trip by any means. We're amazed anyone has. But we do have a link in our description to a Patreon. We do a bonus podcast. Thank you. That's just thank you. Just thank you if you decide to do that. You definitely don't have to. I'm trying to think what else. There's also a link down there to the Discord. That's the best place to keep in touch with us because social media is exhausting and I don't want to do it. So hey, join us there. We goof off, we joke around. It's fun. I think that wraps us up here. Zach, do you have a question for the Smallville gods?
I'm trying to think of one. I mean, I guess my question would be, did Jensen Ackles hate this storyline more than we do?
Good night, everybody.